So we can start. Can you tell us a little bit about your story in a very few words, since this is
Sure.
going on a video?
Okay. Well, my story is about how I got into self-development, how I turned into the coach I am at this moment, and also how I lost 15 kilos or 17 kilos of weight in the process. So yeah, it goes from. I talk a little bit about my time in school, and a bit about my career as a chef, and mostly the change that occurred, um, and then within 12 years how everything changed for me. So yeah, that's what the story is about.
So you're a coach now.
Yes,
Cool.
yes, right, yeah.
So what kind of people come to you? What do you think they see a solution working with you?
Well, I got quite a few people that come to me for weight loss and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and other than that, and in combination with that, it's mostly people that are in some way on a turning point. So it's somebody who's in employment and wants to start their own business, or it's somebody who's in a relationship and wants to get out, or someone who's single and wants to get into a relationship. So a lot of, and it's mostly women, but that's the most. That's like 80% of my clients are in that kind of turmoil. So, and with that, a lot of times it is the body weight is addressed at some point, because I believe, as is also said in the story, that the stress levels that we put ourselves under is what causes us to gain weight, or allows us not to lose any. So you have people that been on diets forever, and so I've been 6 weeks on this diet and nothing happens. And I'm following it exactly because of exactly according to the book, and nothing's changing for me. Well, I said, well, I know why that is, or I think I know why that is. I never uh, sort of assume, but it's always around stress for me. That's my belief system, and that's what I see in the result with my clients when we deal with the stress and the underlying reasons why people think they need to eat. What needs does it meet? Then they change.
Okay.
To relate it to my story,
Uh-huh.
I worked in hospitality, very stressful, very high intensity job, and for as long as I can remember, I was always overweight, not unhealthily, not obese, but not happy where I was. And as soon as I resigned from the job, within 6 months, I lost the 17 kilos, and they never came back. But that was because I was doing a job that I didn't really enjoy. Plus, there was a lot of added stress because of the job that job comes with. So when that all dropped away, it was like, wow, this is amazing, because I didn't do anything different. I still ate the same way. I had regular exercise. I was cycling daily, and I eat a balanced nutrition. So nothing really changed for me, but still I lost a lot of weight. So that's my core uh, theme when I work with people. So we're going to work around what needs is your behavior meeting, and what are the stress levels that you're under. And dealing with those two, for me, is the secret of weight loss, but also a secret of happiness.
Yeah. So what are the techniques that you practice in your coaching?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Someone asked me that the other day. Someone said, "Oh, can you? I'm a beginner coach. What do you do? Do you have some sort of checklist?" And there were people that said, "Well, yeah, you do this and then you do that." I said, "Okay, for me, it's like this. I listen deeply. When I don't understand, I ask a question. And when I hear something, I ask a deeper question. Or I ask a question that goes beyond the answer that they give me. and I show empathy. And for me, since I do that, everything has changed. Like when I started, okay, I learned NLP, I learned hypnosis, I learned EFT, I learned emotional balance. There's so many techniques, so many books, so many self-help methods, and I know a lot of them, and I use a lot of them. But I think primarily, when I speak to people, what is most powerful is that they are understood. Because there's so many, I have quite a few clients actually that come to me and say, well, I worked with a coach before and it wasn't, and I said, well, what did they do? They said, well, our first session we had to do the goals, and our second session we went to limiting beliefs, and I don't work like that. I deal with what's going on right now, and a lot of times that what the client brings at this moment is what needs to be resolved, and is a lot of time is exactly what is a lot of times a big part of the problem. So I deal with that step by step. So what is it that's going on? And yeah, techniques, NLP, I'm big on tapping as well, so EFT, which is in my opinion a remarkable tool, so easy to use and very, very effective. Yeah, and hypnosis, so relaxation, mindfulness, those all blended. So it's not like, okay, now we're going to do an NLP process like this. No, for me, it's very intuitive the way I work. So we talk, and intuitively, I'll start with a process which is originated in NLP, but it will finish with a mindfulness exercise or a mindfulness element to it. So it's very, very fluid.
Okay, so
does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
What I was going to ask you is the tapping is the emotional freedom technique?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is it? Because that's one I haven't heard of.
Okay. Well, emotional freedom technique is I call it it's a mixture between Western psychology and Eastern. The ancient Chinese healing method of acupuncture. So in the East, they talk about meridians that run through our body, which are like energy streams. So it's like little rivers of energy, and they go through our entire body. And if you feel good, you're relaxed, you feel great, you have no problems, then the energy runs through these streams smoothly and without any problems. Now, if you are stressed, or if you have a challenge, or if you are in pain, then there is a blockage in any of these energy streams. So if you were to go, for example, if you were to go to an acupuncturist, and you would say, well, I got stomach issues, I got stomach pains, and I'm no acupuncturist, so I can't tell you what he will do, but most probably he wouldn't put needles in and around your stomach area, but he would put needles around this area here, because this is where the energy stream starts that is connected to your stomach. Now, in the 70s, there was a guy called Roger Callahan, who was a psychologist in California, and he had a woman who was very fearful of water. And Callahan was interested in acupuncture and all kinds of holistic other healing methods. And he read about acupuncture. And then when this woman came in and said, oh, I got this fear of water, he said, well, what's happening then when you think of water? She said, oh, I got this really bad stomach cramps and like this knot in my stomach. And so he said, oh, that's interesting. And he remembered acupuncture. So he said, well, tell me more, but just tap here, very lightly under your eye. And so she did. And he asked her more questions, like, okay, what's it like about being so fearful of water? And it was really fearful. It was like she couldn't go outside if it rained. She couldn't put her children in the bath. She wouldn't go down the ocean. She couldn't shower herself. She had to damp herself off with a cloth. So really, really, a really big problem for her. So she said, oh, I can't do this and that, and it's such a problem for me. And after about 20, 25 minutes, she said, wow, I don't know what happened, but I think it's gone. And so Callahan said, well, what's gone? She said, well, the irrational fear of water is gone. She said, it feels like I could just go outside now and sit next to your pool and splash a bit of water on my face. And he said, well, you want to do it? And she said, yes. So she walked out of his office. She sat next to the swimming pool and she splashed some water on her face. Amazing. Now she knew that she couldn't swim. She knew she wouldn't be jumping in the deep end, right? She knew that. But that she actually could face this. So Callahan was very intrigued by that. And he started taking 15 points from acupuncture and looking at certain problems and using a specific way of tapping points in a certain order for certain problems. So if you have, again, I'll give you an example. It might not. It's not just for illustration purposes. If you would have a headache, he would say, "Well, tap here, and now tap here, and now tap here." But if you had a painful shoulder, he would say, "Okay, start here, now tap here." So he had very specific recipes, and he was very successful. He called the technique thought field therapy. He was so successful that his practice started to, all his clients that normally would be there for years, they all left within 6 months because this technique worked so well. So he said, he started to train this technique, and so he called it thought field therapy. And then in the early 80s, there was a guy called Gary Gregg who trained with him, and Gary thought it was amazing, but he couldn't remember all the specific algorithms that he needed to use for certain. He said, "You know what? I'm going to use all these points all the time," and he called it EFT, and it worked just as well. So, and now there are so many different varieties of tapping. If you go online, you will find dozens of techniques but they all originated from Callahan and from Gary Gregg. So, and that's EFT.
Wow, I haven't heard of it. The rest I have heard. I haven't practiced most of them, but at least I have heard. It's super fast. I don't know. I can show you. It's very easy. It's 2 minutes. It's less than 2 minutes. Okay. Well,
but I don't know if this is appropriate for the interview.
I don't think in this moment will we. So, what challenges you the most as a coach?
As a coach, what challenges me the most? That's a good question. Well, for me personally, it sometimes is that there are people that I can help. The challenge for me personally is that I know that I can help certain people, but when they're not ready or they can't see it, they can't see that they are served by getting in front of by talking to a coach or talking to someone that can help them. Mm-hmm. That is my biggest. It's not. Yeah, it's the biggest. I don't know. I guess it's not even frustration, but that's my biggest pain, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I speak to people, and they got this long. I'll give you an example, because I always. Very rarely, on my website, there is an option to purchase directly a session. Very rarely that happens. And most of the time I say to people, well, let's just first have a conversation. Let's see how it goes. So last week I had a lady who was sexually abused, and she was raped, actually. And that was going on for like 6 months. And I knew she's someone I know, and I heard through a friend of a friend. I said, well, give her my card. So she called me, and we scheduled an appointment. And then on the day of the appointment, she canceled. Okay, no, I can't force it. I know she would really benefit from it. So then last week she said, oh, let's have this conversation. So we had this conversation, an hour and a half. It really was magic. I mean, she was completely, wow. She said, wow, I can't believe that. I feel so great. Okay. I said, well, there's more work to be done. Why don't we schedule another appointment? And yeah, fantastic. So then that was supposed to happen this week, and she canceled. Oh, I need to get my head straight, and I need to relax a bit before we can continue. And I know it's all resistance. It's all, self-sabotage for her. And that's one of the things that I think, it's such a shame that she can't see the value, or she can't experience, this relief permanently, because she's, I don't know, probably afraid. It's for me, the hardest is then to think, well, it's not the time yet. It's not their time. but I know that if she were to talk to me or to anybody else that could help her, that she would be feeling so much better. So
you think it's lack of faith or of consciousness? Why do you think people don't take these type of therapies?
Well, I think with everything, I think it's fear. I think everything. Who said it the other day? There are two emotions. There's love and there's fear. So you either choose love or you choose fear. And I think with everything that we do, especially when people don't do it, it's fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of it will be painful, or it will be, fear of how will I feel afterwards? How will I feel when I dealt with this? And lots of times people have lots of, and I need to say this in inverted commas, but someone who has a big problem, it also serves them in a way. It comes with a benefit. And because I always say, well, someone who has a problem, say, okay, what's the downside of getting rid of this problem? So what would you need to do if you no longer have this problem? Or what is the upside? What is the positive thing of having this problem? And there is always one, because if there is none on both sides, you wouldn't have it. That's my belief. Mm-hmm. Like it will always serve us. So there are people that can't leave their house, for instance. They are afraid of open spaces, so they won't go. I said, well, what's the if you would get rid of this problem, what would be the negative part? No, there's nothing negative about that. Of course I want to get rid of it. I say, I don't doubt that you want to get rid of this problem. But what would you have to do? What would be the downside? Well, yeah, then I would have to do all my own shopping. I have to go out and I have to go to my friends instead of they coming to me. I have to make more of an effort. So yeah, and lots of times those are things that people don't think about. And the same goes with weight loss. It's people that are overweight, it serves them. The weight serves them in a way. It's not healthy. But there are so many beliefs around weight loss and body image that if I lose weight, if I have this size 12 or size 10 body, I would get lots of attention from men, and I wouldn't want that. Or if I get this ideal body, all my friends that are overweight, they're gonna judge me, and we're no longer gonna be friends. All those beliefs. So I think, and that is what stops most people, the fear. Yeah.
And this is what challenges you the most. What rewards you the most?
See people succeed. So see people get what they want. Because that's what I say. So people say, well, what do you do? So, well, I help people get what they want. So, yeah, what rewards me the most is to see people getting what they want. So they succeed in, first of all, just feeling good. That's my main issue. Like, the more you can feel good, like when you start feeling good, it tends to continue. It's not that you will always be on a high and you will never have any problems, but when you start feeling good and you start appreciating yourself and your body and all the things that you can do, it tends to become more frequent. So, these people that are always complaining, they always complain. Why? Because it's what they do. It's almost in their DNA. Yeah. So when you can snap people out of that, and even if it's then just, half an hour out of the day, they actually feel good. And then a week or 2 weeks later, they're like, wow, I had a day where it was really remarkable. And people start telling me, are you okay? Because you're so happy. It's those kind of things that really reward me.
Yeah, a lot of people like to complain here of everything.
Yeah.
So what is your next step in your career?
Well, my next step is in terms of the transformational coaching. I'm working on a group coaching program online. So I want to reach more people, help more people at once, because I know that like you, I have 24 hours, in the day, like everybody. So, so yeah, getting connected with more people and serving them on a in a group setting that I am working on, and yeah, that's it. I tend not to. I tend not to. Like I already do. Like I do retreats and I do public talks, but really doing something online. And then in the future, I don't know, probably about a year or 2 years from now, doing some sort of multi-day retreat in an exotic location.
Okay.
That's what that's my sort of goal.
Oh, please let me know. I would love to go. So, just to finish, what word would you use to define yourself?
One word only?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, that's a good question. Well, the first thing that comes up for me is compassion. Mm-hmm. So many of people that I speak to, many of my clients, that's what they tell me. Like they feel so safe and they feel so heard that they feel so free to share what is there to share, and I don't judge at all. Like you have a problem, you have a certain behavior, you've done something in the past, whatever. I don't judge anybody. So I think, yeah, that's the compassion.
That's a beautiful word.
Thank you. I agree.
Very good. So just to finish, I want you, if you could, send me your links besides Facebook, because that's the one I have. If you have any other links for your web page or any other, and some pictures, so we can illustrate the spread for the magazine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I can do that. I need to check because I sent you the bio, which I included the links. Oh, I will send you a couple of pictures. But is there anything else you need?
No, that would be all. Yeah, the links are in. Okay. Great. Yeah, with that we can illustrate and put a little intro in the spread.
Okay.
And for the link for this interview. And just the pictures for us to illustrate it.
Great. So this interview will be people will be able to see this as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they will go to in the magazine it's too heavy for the actual spread, but has a little short part, and then you go to the link on YouTube and you can see it in full.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yes, it is great.
Okay.
So we will send you also the links when they're ready for you to
Fantastic.
See it.
Yeah.
And, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time and to accommodate it so like this. It's because it's what? It must be like middle of the night for you now.
No, not yet. It's 10:42 p.m. So it's not that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
No. Goes from. I talk a little bit about my time in school, and a bit about my career as a chef, and mostly the change that occurred, and then within 12 years how everything changed for me. So yeah, that's what the story is about.
So you're a coach now?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
So what kind of people come to you? What do you think they see a solution working with you?
Well, I got quite a few people that come to me for weight loss and confidence.
So we can start. Can you tell us a little bit about your story in a very few words? Since this is going on a video.
Okay. Well, my story is about how I got into self-development, how I turned into the coach I am at this moment, and also how I lost 15 kilos or 17 kilos of weight in the process. So it goes. When I said, well, I know why that is, or I think I know why that is. I never sort of assume. But it's always around stress for me. That's my belief system, and that's what I see in the result with my clients when we deal with the stress and the underlying reasons why people think they need to eat. What needs does it meet? Then they change.
Okay.
So to relate it to my story, I worked in hospitality, very stressful, very high in. And other than that, and in combination with that, it's mostly people that are in some way on a turning point. So it's somebody who's in employment and wants to start their own business, or it's somebody who's in a relationship and wants to get out, or someone who's single and wants to get into a relationship. So a lot of, and it's mostly women, but that's the most. That's like 80% of my clients are in that kind of turmoil. So, and with that, a lot of times it is the body weight is addressed at some point, because I believe, as is also said in the story, that the stress levels that we put ourselves under is what causes us to gain weight, or allows us not to lose any. So you have people that have been on diets forever, and so I've been 6 weeks on this diet and nothing happens. And I'm following it exactly because of exactly according to the book, and nothing's changing for me.